Oops. Oopsies. Oopsies. Lift off. Hey, how's it going? Oh, life's crazy. It's a roller coaster. And I've got so much crap on my shoulders trying to heal, trying to survive, trying to do it alone because I have nobody in the world to help me. And so trying to lift my son out of addictions, put all this crap together. And these are disadvantages that other people don't have against them. Some people do, yeah, but not, who has all of the ones that I have against me? It's ridiculous. Darn it. I'm seeing more splashes. I gotta wash the floor because when I had my son here with his friend that's homeless, he spilled his red drink everywhere and splashed it. And so I cleaned up lots, but I need to wash the whole floor. I swept and everything, but I meant just not in the mood. Here's the thing. Here's my lighter. Higa. Sweetgrass. Cleanses our thoughts. Really good to do when you're stressed out or when you have negative thoughts. Use sweetgrass. It's a masculine medicine. It's really... It's cucumber, lemon, honey, and ginger. This is the muscular system. Anterior means front, posterior means behind. It's all the muscles. And the skeletal system, which is important to know. It's important to know these because then when you have injuries, you have the ability to name the muscle and the place it hurts. So when you can do that, you can figure out the best remedy. So doctors, when they know all of the things, they don't need to go to a doctor to find help. And nurses, they don't need to go find another nurse because they know it all. They know it already. So it eliminates the need to have a third party to rely on for your health. So learning about your health is self-mastery and allows you to be minimizing the pain and suffering going forward. So if you want to minimize pain and suffering, then you need to master your physical body, mind, and your spirit. So when you got someone that's in addictions like your child, you have to master everything about you because they're sick. And if you're sick, you're going to make the sickness even bigger with both of you together. So the goal is your child is sick. Your job as a mother is to make them healthy, to bring them back to health. The mother's job is to nurse them back to health. The mother is the ultimate nurse. So for our children, we are their mother. We heal them. Mothers have been degraded and humiliated and have had their motherhood and their existence, their responsibilities, everything destroyed. And we have an instinct, a mother instinct, and that has been impeded upon with societal norms and with laws. And it's made us question our own instinct because we're forced to do the exact opposite of what our instinct is. And we get a group mentality of a whole bunch of groups ganging up on one person. And when you do that and you're harassing them, it's highly likely that they're eventually going to give in and cooperate and do what you want, even if it goes against what they know and what is instinct. And this is where it's very dangerous, because if you have a relentless bully, they have the ability to break you. That's breaking a person. That's harassing them until they break, give in, and do what they do not want to do because you won't leave them alone. These are techniques used in war. These are techniques to overpower people. They're manipulation tactics that go against the free will of others. And it's a way to overpower others without using force. Because you can't force people, you can beat them and everything, but you can also do things to manipulate them out of their control so that they're in an environment where they have to participate to survive or exist or get their needs met, whatever. So we have the ability to manipulate a person's expressions of who they are outward. So we are in charge of our body, mind, and spirit, but you can get people that, or an individual or companies that group together or work by themselves, and they can manipulate the situation so an individual doesn't have the ability to practice free will, free choice. We need to be teaching our children this so that they have the ability to understand boundaries and power dynamics, because there are going to be people trying to take your power, and if you don't have boundaries, you're going to get it taken away. Because all people that are malicious are seeking power. They're seeking power sources. They're seeking the people that are naive and the people that aren't paying attention. So again, narcissistic abusers. Everyone can fall into two categories: empaths that make the world better, or narcissistic abusers, and they're making everything, they're dragging the pain and suffering out. They delay healing to make the suffering last a little longer. And they will lie, cheat, and steal, and even pretend to be a good person to get close enough to you to destroy you. So colonization did that. Not all white people are bad. Not all white people are colonizers. Colonizers can be all colors. Any ethnicity that comes to Turtle Island and expects us to adhere to their ruling and they're from here is a colonizer. They're trying to take over and take power over everything. And that is colonizing behavior. It's malicious. It's coming into someone's space and forcing them to be like you. Go to your own place or adapt to the person's whose home you're in. So narcissistic abusers can be individuals, not just the Canadian government. They can be humans that will not let, they get into relationship with you and will not let you escape. And then they abuse you and your children and lie and cheat and steal, but you can't do that and they won't let you escape. So they've got double standards, a set of rules, they're hypocrites. And so that's it. Then they twist everything you say to benefit them and say things that are just completely outrageous that everyone knows is false, but they're saying it just to tick you off, to trigger you, to hopefully get you to react and engage and start yelling at them, because then they're winning. You then lowered your energy, and that's what it is. It's low energy beings, people that are negative, people that are malicious. They're trying to get as many people on their team by making them mad. If you get mad, you lose. If you harm somebody, you lose. So we've got to be very strategic and understand that they have many ways to suck us in, and we're only looking at one way, thinking, okay, we don't want to do this, but there's many aspects that you can do that flips you to the other side. This is why you have to have extreme self-awareness. You have to be aware of energies and how you feel, and the best chance of that is if you're sober. Sobriety is key in decolonization. So I just speak on behalf of my homeland. And my homeland is all of Turtle Island, because my ancestors came from this earth originally and we've always been here. We're the original inhabitants of all of Turtle Island, and we were Canadian. We are of the whole piece of land. So Mexicans and Venezuelans and all of them, the original inhabitants, are from the whole piece of land. They're not from way down south. They're from the whole existence. Just like a mother is a whole thing, and the baby comes from just the egg, but it's considered from the whole mother. So we come from the whole piece of land, and just drawing borders on my line, on my body, doesn't mean that my offspring didn't come from me. They only came from here. No, they came from me. I created it. With all of my whole thing, my whole body, I used my time and energy and existence and consciousness to create something amazing and beautiful. That's the opposite of a narcissistic abuser. They take something that's not theirs and try to force them to assimilate into their way of thinking. And if we don't agree, then they're going to destroy us, and they destroy the mother, and they separate the mother from the child, and they'll take the children as their own to try to cause as much pain and suffering to the mother, to see that the children are with the very ones that abused her. This is ultimate in abuse, to make the mother witness her own offspring go and be with her abusers. It's sick and it's twisted. And that's exactly what colonization is. Colonization is the act of causing as much disgusting pain and suffering as possible. So not thinking about anybody else. So child abusers, narcissists. So people need to understand that there are a lot of narcissistic abusers, and those are the ones that are causing all of the harm upon earth. In addition to being a system like Canada government being a narcissist, and an individual in a relationship being a narcissist, we can also have we can have physical items that are not human as well. So the system is a non-physical item. It's a group of people working together. That system is a narcissistic abuser. The individual is a narcissistic abuser, but we can also have things that are narcissistic abusers, like methamphetamines. They actually have a consciousness, which is what Christ consciousness is. It's the awareness that everything and every part of everything is aware of us, is aware of its separateness, and also has a permanent memory of everything that it witnesses or participates in for the entirety of its existence, no matter what form it takes shape. That means if you have a cup, it's going to have permanently remembering everything that it's watched and observed and experienced being a cup, and anything that violence or anything that it's been in the room with. And then once it gets broken, it's going to experience everything that experiences. It goes to the trash and maybe gets found 50 years later. Who knows what's happening? But there's a permanent memory for everything. And everything has an awareness, and also the ability to increase our consciousness or decrease us, bring us closer to health or bring us closer to sickness. So meth is designed and had the intention of destroying people, and that's what it does. And it actually is in the form of like a genie in a bottle. If you don't open the bottle, then the genie won't come out, and you can't listen to it and everything. If it's locked in the bottle, it'll stay there. Well, as soon as you light the pipe and inhale it, now you've got that spirit of the meth inside you. Same with when you open up a bottle and have a drink of alcohol. You've now opened up the spirit and give it a human body. It's waiting to have a host. It's sitting there in the bottle or in this little rock, just waiting. They're the demon spirits down there. They want to have access to the human bodies, and God said, no, I'm not letting you have one, because this is peace and love, and we don't want that. And they said, well, we're going to try our best. We're going to, when we get in, when they willingly, because they have free will, so if they allow us in, then we're going to use them to our benefit. We're going to destroy everything. And then that's when God was like, well, I can't stop you, but I'm going to have them out, and I'm going to send Jesus Christ, our Lord and Savior, whom through all things are made possible, and also make sure that every negative we have infinitely more positive. So there's always, when there's malicious abuse, God's going to give us something beautiful out of it to make it not so ugly, so he can counteract it, because it's not hell. So if someone could keep being mean and we'd have no way out, that would be hell. There is a way out, and the way is Jesus Christ. And the problem with meth is that it's extremely powerful. It has the power of endless amounts of men behind it making the purpose. All of their energy went into creating something that would destroy. So there's humans that use their power to make things to destroy people by giving it to them, whether it's like a cookie with a whole bunch of chemicals in it, or frozen sugary drinks with a whole bunch of food coloring in it. These are enticing, toxic cookies. And so when you realize this, you realize that meth also is one, and so is alcohol, and this is just a candy shop of pain and suffering. Someone told me today that people are repeating the things that I say. I was like, they always have been. I'm freaking hilarious, and I'm smart and funny. That's redundant. Redundant means that you say the same thing over twice. So people that are critical will say that, trying to criticize you. I'm just thinking of when I was raising my children and how I tried so hard to give them everything that they needed to be extremely self-sufficient, kind, knowledgeable, and safe. And the whole time I was fighting for their safety in the home, against their fathers, against their father's parents. I was protecting my kids in my nest and wasn't allowed to leave the men. And they would keep asking me to marry. I'm like, no, but I wasn't allowed to leave. And then wasn't even allowed to sleep in different beds. How disgusting is that? So you can imagine, goes and cheats, and I still have to sleep in the same bed. And then he'd say, well, will you marry me? No. And he's beating my kids. So sick, twisted. And I've only told you a little bit. I've got way more stuff to let everybody know. They did. They created all of the things that are being told. They chose to intervene into my life unwillingly and do all of this stuff and thought they'd get away with it. And I thought so too. But then God waked me up and got me brave. And now I use my voice and it feels really effing great. Feels great to be able to tell everybody what piece of poop all these people are. And the parents of these people that act all high and mighty, acting like they're such good families. No. When no one was watching, you stood at the end of my hospital bed, your husband and the wife, the parents of these two young men, as they both told me that they couldn't have kids after one violated me and impregnated me and risked my life. And they knew that he'd done that, and no one asked me how I was or gave me any comfort, but they're going to harass me to name the child. And I kept saying no, and they wouldn't stop. They were just nailing me, harassing. And any say, will you stop and leave her alone? She just had a baby. That's what they would say. That's what any decent person, but these aren't decent people. They're below decent. They're scum. They are scum, and they prey upon vulnerable people to get what they want. The son does it because he violated me, and I kept saying no, and then impregnated me and didn't go to jail when I reported it. Instead, they sent a man in to interview me. So these are the things that makes you very strong when you have to live with your abusers and the parents abuse you, and this makes you a very strong person. And I moved from relationship to relationship because when they finally let me go, some new predator would come. You can't stay alone when you have no one backing you up and no family, because another predator will find you because you're visibly different. They see that you're not around anyone else brown. So they know that you're alone, and then they get close to you to take advantage of you. And then if you're vulnerable, that's when they get in and do it. Get in there and don't let you out. So remember, the father of my kids would stand on above me and scream at the top of his lungs while other people were in the room. And so that shuts you down, and it shows you that no one's going to help you. This is how, I don't know if any of you have ever been screamed at the top of your lungs directly at your face at you. It happened all of the time. Or how about screaming at your face like that and punching things around you, punching holes in walls. These are the types of things he did when he was sober. And so spraying cleaners in my eyes and ripping towels off my teenage son in front of my teenage daughter, humiliating and degrading them, he'd come out, one of my the sons would come out of the shower and he just pours a glass of milk on. Now, who do you think has to clean up all of this stuff all of the time? And you could say, well, why didn't you make him? Because my children deserved a clean home, and he would not let me leave. He is messed up. He always has been messed up. And he went and spread all of the lies saying that I'm the problem. And then anything, and this is the thing. I look now and I'm grateful because Spirit reminds me that through all of the hell, they gave me blessings. Because again, they couldn't stop him from doing what he was doing, but they could help me. And so every blessing that I got, of course, the father of my kids twisted that and said, see, she's using me or she's abusing me or whatever. And that's the problem with my children, is that everything that good that happened to me, despite of the bad stuff that they tried to do, because all of them, they all ganged up, they all didn't care about my thoughts and feelings, and I had blessings. The blessings weren't because of them. No, the blessings were because of God and the team of angels and archangels and ascended masters. I didn't get pregnant because he violated me. He violated me and impeded in my will and destroyed me. And I would have probably ended my life after having my first biological child. But because I went to the bathroom and checked my thing and I was like, why did I not have my period? Found out I was pregnant. Found out that I had another biological baby after immediately having my other one, only a month. And I minus 5 days where I had to go to the hospital for intravenous. I wasn't allowed to keep my baby with me, my first biological relative. Imagine how traumatizing that is. So my life is scattered with a lot of losers, and I had to accept it because I was enslaved into their color. This is what they do, and not all of them, but the bad ones do, and I'm shedding the light on it, and I'm letting everyone know what the bad ones do. And if the good ones say, we're not all like that, I don't care. Go make a party about it over there. Quit bothering me. And unless you're here to tell me that you're not like them and you're going to help me and lift me up with whatever food, because you poison me all the time. So what are you going to give me? So you are the same unless you're actually helping us. And that just means not giving us unhealthy food and not giving us bad advice and not trying to sabotage us. This is the problem. We've been under attack, and that demographic is upset because we're calling it out and saying what color is doing it. It wasn't the Chinese. It wasn't the blacks. It wasn't the Filipinos. It wasn't it's one color. And they all used color. They were attacking me, trying to destroy me, including companies, Stony Valley Contracting, Fort McMurray, Alberta, Canada. So this is the thing. I found my voice. It got louder. I think I found it at the beginning of 2025, but maybe it was 2024. And now it is getting even louder. And this is how you get your power back. Am I scared? No. Heck no. Because only losers and cowards pick on people that are handicapped. I was handicapped. I had no family, no ethnicity. I had no one my own. I was a target, a little girl by myself, a little woman by myself. And of course you can overpower me because the system is in your favor as well. So I've come over, look, I'm now not as weak as I was because God filled me up with healing and I can see the truth, and now I understand. And so I'm not afraid of anything or anyone, and that's another thing that makes me extremely powerful. But the best thing is I've got them behind me because I'm on the good team. I'm working for Team Jesus, which means they're working for demons. Anyone that opposes me is not working for Team God. That's the thing. Any woman that's trying to hate on me and get haters to join in, any woman that's trying to be mean to me and make my life harder, they're literally working for demons. So be really conscious of those that go on my social medias and are trying to attack me or whatever. They've got demons. They literally are working for the opposite team. I am a mirror. What's inside of you, you're going to show when you interact with me. I'm a magnetic force. Whatever is the strongest inside you, that's what I have you show me. So I'm an amplifier of energy. The more that you work for God, the more that you become this. It's a mirror, so they can't help it but be who they are and direct it at us. Because if they're sick, they don't want the lights turned on. And I'm the light. So they're like, God, get rid of that. And so there you go, red flag. They're sick. They got demons. That one wasn't loved by their mother. That one has addiction to alcohol. This is the thing. Been there, done that. I know, but I know about all of this stuff now because I've experienced it. Knowledge is power, and wisdom is even more so. Wisdom is firsthand experience. Knowledge is learned by reading and passed down. But firsthand experience, that's wisdom. And I hold a heck of a lot of wisdom because I've been to hell. I'm still in it with all these demons that are ruining it for everybody. So we have the ability to escape everything because it isn't hell. It actually feels like it, but it's not. We have the ability to escape, but there's people that are trying to hold us hostage. We're being held hostage. It's enslavement if we don't have freedom. We're the only species in the world that has to pay for food. What does pay mean? It means that you have to go to someone that has a business or has lots of resources and you ask them to do work for them. What's work? Be their slave. And in return, instead of giving us food and shelter like they used to, they kick us out and give us some papers. And then the papers we can go exchange for food, crumbs, and dirty water for lucky. So that's enslavement. I don't know what questions you have. So my son, I love him so much. I'm learning lots every time he comes here and then leaves. I learn more. So he brought someone home again. He does it all the time. And I always feed them and clothe them and then send them on their way. But this time I let him sleep there for a couple of hours because I cleaned the bed because I thought my son was gone. So I let him sleep. And I woke him up because Zach said he was leaving. And I said, well, because I wouldn't let him sleep here forever. I'm like, well, you have to get clean. I'm not taking in other meth people. He does meth. He can't come here. We're going to help people that are clean. He said, we've got to help people. Yeah, I do. I give him food. I let him have a nap, which I normally don't do, but I'm letting him have a nap now. And then he's leaving with some clothes and snow pants. And if you want him to spend the night, you have to get clean because that's your thing. Said, we're a team. We're a team working together. I'm here helping and you're here helping, but you have to be sober in order to work for our team. In order to live here, you have to get clean. I said, so don't act surprised. The rule is when you come home, mom's home is clean, so you can't come here dirty. All your paraphernalia can't come in the door. And when you come here, it's rehab time. It's cleaning time. Absolutely. Can't come in the house. And so I looked him in the eye. I said, don't act surprised and try to convince me because this is the rule and that's what it always has been. And he started laughing. I said, yeah, because you think I'm going to give in. And so I'm learning about boundaries and I'm learning, I'm actually having a good spine. Rabbit, chickens, that's what I'm about to do. What do you mean you're cooking dinner? So, so I'm excited to see what happens because every time he leaves now, he's leaving less angry and he's learning how to overcome his emotions. What he was talking about today, he said two things that I heard and I understand now. So he's giving me clues into his unresolved trauma. Get me some chicken for eggs. Oh, to have on a farm. I would love to have a farm. That would be amazing. My goal is to have a big home with either a large basement or a large garage or shed or backyard where I can have 24/7 healing lodges. And that would be cool to have a couple cats and a couple chickens running around. You know, I heard chickens are a little bit stinky. But I remember hearing something. If you have chickens, you should have a something. What is it? I think you're supposed to have a dog when you have chickens, so then it protects them from the foxes or something. Can't remember. So, anyways, my son left with his friend, and and he left upset. And then I also leaned down to him and I said, also, Satan isn't allowed in here anymore. I don't allow him in my home. And then he said something in Satan's voice, and I was like, you're not allowed in. I said, my son is, he's welcome here, but you're not allowed to, you gotta leave. And then he growled and said something in Satan's voice again. So the more that you do meth, the more that some people talk in voices and talk with them. But I know that this dude that's inside him, the demon, he is real because my son's eyes change literally when he starts talking in the voices. And even when he's sleeping, if I go behind, put my hands over there and say a prayer in my head, he goes like this. So it's like he knows. He knows before so mother and child are also psychic. We're telepathically attuned. And since I didn't have a mother biologically, I didn't have that connection. So when I had my children, I was like this. Imagine having no family and then having, 2, 3, 4 children. Biologically, you're going to be like this. If everyone around you is mean, you're going to be protecting them extremely. Unfortunately, one made himself a father against my will, and I wasn't going to eliminate my own flesh and blood, so I kept my child. And that's something that's my own personal decision. I respect anybody else's, because I can understand why you would not want to bring a child into this world knowing that there's all these predators that are going to prey upon them because of their skin color in a world that's not matching their own. I understand this. Keep all dopers away, no access. Okay, so that's the thing. Yeah. I told my son, I said, I'm willing to have people help them once they're clean, absolutely. But I'm not going to be having someone here that's actively using, sorry, because when they are, they're dirtier, they're more work, they're more money, and they're not my responsibility to bring in my home, and it's way too much stress. So my own child is one thing, and if I'm going to do one job, and I have to do 2 of the job, different people, then it's easier just to focus on one, because 100% of your energy is going to be on the one. So if you want the most success, you're going to focus your energy on the one. I can't work with the men, my son has to. So if he wants to bring the men home, then he needs to up his game, is how I'm thinking it. So this is great that I'm talking this through, because this is what I've got to approach him with, because he's determined. He's like, no, we got to help people, you said. And I'm like, yeah, you got to be clean. So, and this is great, because now I've got the ammunition to say the things I got to say to him, because he's becoming easier to be reasoning with. I'm also learning that we do not argue or pressure, but we use positive affirmations. So we don't have to contradict everything that they say they're wrong when they're in active addiction and they're trying to defend their actions. Like when they're saying, I'm going to be in addictions all the time now, I'm going to do it all the time. They're trying to cause a conflict so that they can leave and they feel justified in drinking or whatever. When people are doing drugs and alcohol, yeah, of course it's fun when you are in a good mood, but when you're in a very bad mood and you have conflict and then you do it, the spirits love it, because the spirits want to have a chance at running a human, because when they get in, they will talk to the human, and the human will do what they want, because the meth causes them close their mind to anybody else and only listen to them. Alcohol has the ability to do the same thing, but it's less powerful. So you drink the alcohol, now I'm not going to listen to anybody. I'm going to be oppositional, defiant. I'm going to disagree with you, and I'm going to justify all my stuff. It's going to make my ego bigger. So with meth, your mind closes, but in between uses, the hypnotism wears off. So if you have a solid user, they're going to be using and then using and then using. You've got to hit the window right before they use again. That's when their mind's going to be a little bit open and more receptive to whatever you say. Because we have to reason with our children or our loved ones that are addicted. We have to offset the belief system that's running the infection inside of them that's causing them to be in addiction. So you've got the addiction, but it's being run by your traumas and the lies that were told during your trauma, or the belief system you believe because of your trauma. So you might think that you're not wanted, you're not loved. Someone might have, let's say they beat you because you wet the bed, or because you made a mess in the bathroom, whatever. When those things, when they beat you and call you a name, that gets imprinted into your running system, because not only are feeding it into you the information by talking and making you hear it, but they're punching it into you. So it's shocking your system. And that means everything that around you is going to be a permanent memory and put in there. And because it's associated with negativity, it's going to cause you pain and suffering physically, just like when they hit you. That hit is permanent memory, and now they're associating that physical pain with that memory. And if that memory keeps coming back, then we're going to keep getting that physical pain that we had at the time of the memory. So the more times we're abused and told malicious things, the more physical pain we have when we remember the things that we're told. Now, this is very important, because when you understand this, you realize this is why we need to start healing our traumas, because it's physically painful. The people that are not in addictions, they don't understand. They feel a little bit of pain from the memories, but it's not heart-wrenching, because that's why they don't understand. They say, "Oh, get over it," because they don't understand it's physical pain, because they're so closed-minded and they can only think as big as their own experiences. They think that because they've experienced pain and suffering like this, and this is how it felt, that is how it applies to anybody, even when you've experienced so much. So imagine being pelleted with a sea of sand, with a what's it called, sandblaster. It would, how much pain and suffering, the whole ocean being pelted at you, you'd be destroyed, compared to having one piece of sand aimed at just at the corner, like the edge of you. So you'd be like, and you would think, yeah, get over it, because I've experienced it. You need to realize that their pain and suffering is amplified than yours, because yours is minimal, and you think, oh, mine's so big, blah blah blah. You don't realize but just because you can see a house and a home, you don't know what's going on behind closed doors. You can have two children in the exact same household. They could be even twins, but they're going to have two extremely different experiences, and one could be severely abused and the other one not, and the other one not even know what's going on, because the things are being said and done when that child's not looking or when they're not around. So that other twin is living their life, and then when they see their twin, they're like, what's wrong with you? And if that twin is living in fear or doesn't know what's going on, they're not going to be able to express themselves. And that's usually what happens, because whatever we experience is what our normal is. We don't know that it's abnormal, because we have nothing to contrast it with. So if whatever we're living, that is what we see as a whole. And until someone shows us something different, that's the only thing that we know. And this is why people that grow up in homes where they're neglected or don't have any support system are lacking knowledge, because you learn from everybody. You hear people talking, you hear their stories, and you learn from them. So you change your things, the way that you behave and the way that you interact with others. And this is knowledge. But when you've been segregated and you're with another color, and they don't let you talk, and they don't let you have an opinion, and they don't let you cry, then you're now excluded from all of this information, because they're withholding it. They're hoarding it and treating you bad, and you have to go in the basement, and then they treat each other really good. So just because you don't see something doesn't mean it's not happening. The people that are doing the majority of the abuse in this world are doing it behind closed doors, so that no one knows what's going on. Because if everyone knew that they were harming everybody, they'd be put in jail eventually. It might take a while, because that's how the legal system works, but eventually we'd be having a backlash. And so we do get backlash every once in a while, but we don't have it often enough, because of the system. Look at the people that are maliciously or carelessly, negligently not helping others. They're being negligent. They're putting our lives at risk, and there's no consequences to their actions. There's people that use us and abuse us, and it's proof and obvious, and they deny it and nothing happens. And it's obvious what happened. And so the system is favoring abusers. And until we acknowledge this, we're never going to be able to move forward. We have to admit the truth before we can work with it. And the truth is that we're in a very sad state, and this whole world is favoring abusers at the expense of the victims. Women and children's and men's number one threat is men. It's at almost 100%. So that means if we want to minimize our pain and suffering, we have to learn who the enemy is, learn self-defense, learn how to discern who's good from bad, and learn how to heal so that we can be stronger to prevent any more attacks. And how do we do that? By talking about the truth and sharing knowledge and our own experiences, because then we know who the bad ones are. We deserve to know who has been harming our mothers and our children. We deserve to know. Everyone deserves to know, because I want my child safe, so I want to know who's going after your children. Who's diddling all these children? So we need to learn all this so that we can put it out in the open and then put an end to it. How do we put an end to it? By using our voice. We just use our voice and start calling out our abusers, and everything is naturally going to fall into place. That's why the truth and using your voice is such a powerful tool in all the religious texts. It's because the voice is stronger than the sword, stronger than the pen as well. We have the power to do great things. Not to say that the sword isn't powerful and the pen isn't powerful. They are extremely powerful, but the power of the voice is even more so, because it's loud and everyone can see it like right now or hear it right now. It's a vibration. Everything was brought into existence with vibration. Everything was brought into existence with sound. The gong is a representative of all of the sounds that exist in the whole universe. That's what the gong sound is. And so vibration moves and heals. And so that means our voice is a vibration, it's movement of energy, and that has the ability to heal or make things sick. Thank you for the love. So as I'm navigating, going through my life, it's really, you know what? It's actually getting easier. It's getting easier because I'm not as overwhelmed, but it seems to keep piling up and piling up and piling up. But this is the thing: when when you're laying down and you've got all these things holding on to you, bad habits, bad influences, and then you stand up. When you stand up, all of the things that are connecting you to the ground to keep you down are going to be pulling you back down. So when you raise up, everything that is holding you back is going to reveal itself and get you to break the cycle so you can stand up. So this is why when we start standing up for ourselves, using our voice and doing the right thing, we seem to get a lot of opposition, especially everything in our family is now trying to hold us down, and we're trying to break the cycle so that we can stand up. When you start thinking of things like this, you realize that people are either helping us or deterring us from help. When you do this, it's going to be very disheartening, because you're going to find that you have a lot of people against you, and a lot of people pretend to be nice just so they can get close and destroy you too. You have to be choose discerning and choose who you want in your life, because you get to choose how much pain and suffering you're going to endure, and you choose how much risk you're going to take. If someone shows you their true colors and mistreats you or mistreats your children, and you choose, I'm going to be friends with them still, you knowingly allowed them to still interact with you after they gave you a red flag. So we're responsible for the choices we make, and we're responsible for the things that happen to us when we allow people into our lives. This is why it can be risky working with people that are addicts, because they're not all able to not take advantage of others, because their addiction is so strong. They're looking for any way to get their fix. So that means stealing things to make money for it or whatever. So Yeah, but the less stuff you have, the less stuff that they can heal. I mean, the steal. The less stuff you have, the less stuff that they can steal. Is the message I'm getting, because I know I'm not supposed to not to have stuff, but I need all my stuff. I think I do. Like my art. Okay, yes, I can definitely get rid of stuff, but I don't. I need it. Don't I? Look at all my stuff. So hard. Oh, life is hard. So I've been reading a lot of my posts on my threads about addiction, and I see that there's many people that have more than one person in addiction. I'm just like, oh, I can't imagine having two of them. But then, you know what? If anyone can get them straightened out, it's me. And this is the thing. I have not given up on my son. I know that he is going to get clean. I know. I honestly thought he was going to do it that time, because I know that that's what his destiny is. His destiny is to work with me and help the men. Like it, that's it. I know that's the calling. So that's why I'm like, you're gonna be successful. But he fell, and apparently relapse is part of the journey, and that's the whole thing. If someone keeps hitting you and pushing you down, when you finally are going to stand up, you're going to try to stand up and you're going to be weak. You're going to get up again. And if they shove you down, you might fall down again. But eventually you're going to be standing, and then you're going to be like, F you. And that's when I'm going to be, yeah, now we got it. And I'll be right in there going, yeah, bring it. And then there's two of us. And this is it exactly. This is a spiritual war. And I know I'm working for Creator. So as soon as my kids are on board, like, we are going to be a force to be reckoned with. And not only that, I'm trying to recruit all you. And so I'm trying to prepare everybody, then get my children. And then, so I don't know what's going to happen. I have no idea what's going to happen in the future. I'm excited because I know that I'm working with my kids. I know that we're here to make great change, and look at the state of the world. It's insane, the stuff that's happening. And so we have the power to make it change. We only live what we accept. And this is what we've accepted as a whole. No one stood up to all of this. Why are we paying taxes when this is happening? Like the healthcare system, where are the tax dollars going? To paved roads? Are you serious? Let's go back to friggin' wagons and horses. We're thinner, didn't waste gas, and it was more fun. I think it's a great idea. And then we can go back to, then we can use the snowmobiles in the winter with heated or something for winter. But though my point is that we have options. We don't have to do what everyone else is doing, especially if it's not working. And we got a lot of problems in the legal system, the education system, the health care system. So why are we allowing the pain and suffering to drag on? Why do they say you have to go apply and get a mandate? You got to get a bill passed. You got to whatever. No, God wants us healed, and He wants us healed now. And I'm here to let you know that. So anyone that's delaying pain and suffering, you're not on God's team. You're working for demons. And I can't wait to say that to people when they talk to me and I'm telling them stuff, and then they try to argue with me. I'm just going to say the truth about them, that they've got demons, and I'm not scared of them. It's really empowering to have a voice. I have a voice. I found my voice. And that's the whole idea, is to find your voice and become powerful. That's coming into your power when you're fearless and when you stand up for what's right. That's the magic of God. There is a God, because He brought me from the slums of hell to this point right here, still in hell. But at least I'm equipped now and I'm ready. Woo! Yeah. So I'm excited to see what happens. I told Ty, because he still took his backpack. I'm like, so I'll see you tonight. And he just looked at me and walked away. So I don't know. But now I realize I'm getting back. This is the whole thing. I was a very confident, loving mother when I had my children, but the longer that that the fathers were in my life, the more that and their families, the more that they destroyed me, intervened in my parenting, made me question myself and my willingness to live, because of the things that they did to me and my children. So it destroyed me and my sense of humor and everything. And now that I'm going through this really stressful thing of trying to get my son clean, I'm finding my humor. I'm finding it back. And I think it's because I'm actually in the presence of my son. When I'm with him, it lightens me up and it makes us have more fun. But he's been sleeping the whole time, so he hasn't really been enjoying it. But I've been working on my computer and cleaning lots and everything and really enjoying him here, even though he's knocked out all the time. And when he's awake, now he's using. So his mindset is trying to be closed, but he came here with a friend. And because his friend was here sleeping, I got to use it as an opportunity to put on my music very loud and give it very nice experience. Spa-like. I burned incense, I burned salvia, sage and sweetgrass and Palo Santo and explained what it did. And I also played affirmations and some healing music and tones and really gave him a really nice experience. So my son was awake, and normally he was always passed out, but today he was playing video games while his friend was sleeping, listening to all these affirmations right beside him. And this is huge because that's like a mom telling you messages, because the affirmations were put to music and it was just really nice and relaxing. It was like, I am loved. I can let go of all of my trauma. I didn't deserve all of the things, but it's really beautifully sung and stuff. And I am protected. And all of these things are affirmations that are now going to be tools. And now I don't get escalated. When he comes and talks to me, I am getting really good at maintaining my calm and no longer taking it personally. I'm now taking it as he's doing his thing and playing in the mud. And when he comes home, even though the mud is toxic, I'm treating it as that he's just playing in the mud. And I'm like, hey, let's check your stuff, clean you off, and you can come home, but you can't bring that stuff in here. And of course, he's like trying to go, yeah, I am. And not meanly, but just trying to overpower me kindly, but firmly. And because with other things growing up, they could. If I would say, don't eat that for dinner, they would harass me or whatever. And then their dad would say, let them do whatever. And so I would give up because everyone's against me. But now I'm finding my voice. I'm finding my boundaries. And this is huge because you need boundaries dealing with drug addicts, because otherwise they're going to make it to their advantage. And then you're enabling them. So the way that I'm learning all this is by firsthand experience. And as much as it sucks, it's also very entertaining because I'm seeing it as an opportunity to learn, because it's teaching me about my child. Even though my child is affected right now with meth, I'm still getting to see what my son's like on that drug, and I can see how it changes him and changes his personality. So every time he's sober, I remind him, I say, do you remember on meth you were telling me this? And he'll go, no, I didn't. I'll go, yeah, you did. And then when he's next time, he doesn't do it anymore. So I told him, I said, when you're on meth, you're kind of rude to me. And he's like, no, I'm not. And I'm like, yeah, you are. I didn't say that he wasn't, because he is. His personality changes. He's not violent anymore because he used to be, but I called him out on it. I was like, you can't be doing that. You're not a child. So we got to restrain ourselves. And if you're going to be doing meth, then that's a big problem because of this. So that's why I think he stopped, because now he's saying I can do that and not be angry. So I've taught him how to curb his anger issues while being a user. So I think that's a benefit, because I would have rather him off it and learn how to curb it. But still, this means that he's, even when he's not on meth, he's very in control of his emotions and thoughts, because when he's on meth, he's able to calm his anger. So now, if he can calm his anger so much, where he used to be so explosive and punching things and very frightening, now he's at a point where he's using meth and he just kind of escalates his voice a little bit, and I can reason him out of it. If he's has that much power while using meth to be able to control his anger, then I'm going to explain to him that he now has enough power to control his depression and sadness when he's coming off of meth. So remember, depression and sadness is a feeling of helplessness because we've been physically or emotionally or whatever way abused and used, and we had to accept it, had no one help us, had no voice, had no one defend us, have no recourse, and still have to often live with that person or see them on a regular basis. That is enough to destroy the human spirit. And that is what depression is. It's the process of destroying the human spirit and making the will to live to go away. And I'm teaching him this so that he understands that the way he feels is a byproduct of the things that his father had done to him all throughout his life, with the beatings and the humiliation and the degrading. It's meant to destroy him. And so the more that I plant these seeds, the more that he's going to see it as truth, and the more that he's going to see that predictably the people that don't like him want him to be where he's at, and he ended up where he's at because that's what happens when you tell them they're unwanted, they're unloved, no, you're worthless, you're a waste of skin, you're a dumbass, all of these things and then drops them off and leaves them with homeless people. Then of course the homeless drug addicts are going to welcome him in and help him. So then it builds a relationship. And so it's predictable that he ended up there. Are all the people doing drugs bad? No, but the meth is bringing in a consciousness that is unhealthy, and they're allowing their body to be overtaken by the drugs or alcohol that they're choosing, and then their body then is cooperating, doing unhealthy things to each other and themselves. So I don't want my son to know that. And so when you understand this, is going to help you navigate addiction, because you can explain this to your loved ones and it's going to help them get out. When you explain to them that they're haters, the ones that got them there in the first place, this is where they wanted you. It's predictable. This is where we end up when you get traumatized and abused. You have no help and support system. That's where you end up. It's a miracle that I didn't, and the only reason I didn't was because they stepped in. And they've been protecting me all along. So I'm living proof that there is a God, because everything that I've endured, I've now survived, and now I speak out about it to help everybody else, starting with my children. So I hope that this helps you, and I love you. I just wanted to go on for a bit and let you know all this, because I want you to know that I understand what it's like to struggle. My struggles might not be exactly like yours, but trust me, I've been through a lot, and I'm still through a lot, and it was done maliciously. Since birth, everyone, including the governmental system, tried to make my life harder to get me to eliminate myself and allow me to be used and abused by that whole demographic, by anyone that wanted to, free for all, with no consequences. And unfortunately for them, God said, F that! And now he's helping me. With that, I'd like to say, be nice, because you never know who you're messing with. Now, I love you. Yeah. Bye.